Welcome back, everybody. Welcome back to the canyon. Welcome back to another installment of, if you're on the day, you know the day. If you saw the thumbnail, you have functional eyes. It's Wheelin Wednesday. It is Wheelin Wednesday. It's Wheelin Wednesday. And the wheels have chosen our good friend Yella. And I think that this is a good choice, if just for comparison purposes. Because the powertrain in Yella is what? Well, this is a fine predicament I've gotten myself into. The powertrain in Yella is virtually identical to what is in Blue Sky High. The tires, there's a lot of similarities here, minus the four-wheel steer. But the performance is really different as of late. That was a two-hand extrication over there. It was well and truly stuck. Yella, the difference being, we're talking, it's the same speed control. The difference being Blue Sky High, it was at that moment running that Three Brothers Yellow Jacket, which I don't know. As underperforming as I have found a motor, and there was one in Hardline, and that one was fine. This one is not, and I have tried it on multiple speed controls. At this point, it has been tried on a Rhino, on a Furatech Lizard 10, and on a Flash Hobby AM32, and I've been not impressed at all by any of them. I'm trying to remember if I changed Yella's inserts recently, because Yella has gotten a number of changes as of recent, and I think the last thing he got was Dravtex, and since the Dravtex were fitted, I don't think he's been wheeled. I don't think that there was anything specifically wrong with his shocks before, but if you can Dravtech. Whoa! That's a strat. That's a valid strat. That's a technique. You just gotta clear it, right? As the wheels have chosen the largely unnamed Montanas, as I was midway through construction of this one, the one where this V-notch is, I had this just like an internal chuckle going, because of those who watched television, and particularly those not from America. We didn't get as big of an exposure as I think many places, but I do remember the Fontanas. So I was laughing to myself that I was building the Montanas, and what did I say? Joe, Tony, and I can't remember the third Montana. That's a shame, because we need 3 Montanas for 3 Montanas. Yeah, so this is a moment where that other motor would just be stalling out. This is the most expensive Outrunner I've ever bought. There was a coupon from A-Main. Honestly, my only non-Amazon Outrunner. This is a Team Brewed Riot S, and it was an experiment, because I was like, oh yeah, look, dig is quite impactful right there. I was like, is there a difference when you buy a $60, $70 Outrunner? This was long before the first Yellow Jacket showed up here. So I was like, is a $60, $70 Outrunner really different from a $35 one or a $20 one? It really is not. Other than there's not a lot of work that you have to do to get it working. You take it out of the package and you install it. That's the difference. Most of what I was going to say we're running, but are running, are 5mm shaft drone Outrunners that I've either had to file a flat, or I've taken the center shaft out and machined it down to 3mm and then filed a flat to accept a pinion, or I'm just running 5mm pinions. That's most of who's here. We're slowly catching up with 9i mods. And you might notice the steer, I'm getting a little eaten up in the steering. Yeah, this just, some inserts. Who was I out here with? I was out here with Diablo a couple days ago. And Diablo can just ghost this. And so can Toothless. You can just straight up this. This is a fun one to follow the leader. You get somebody behind you and you get in here. And there's a cut line that you can hit. And if you don't hit it, you end up where he ended up. We figured it out eventually. But that's a genuinely tricky spot. Just that exit though, really. So with the choice from the wheels, a perfect opportunity to check and make sure everything is good to go with Yella. Part of me was like, hey, you got that new camera now, so you can actually use your phone while recording? What? That's something I've literally not been able to do. Like if I need to look something up, or just use a calculator, because I'm pretty good at mental arithmetic until we get to that second decimal point. And I was like, oh, you should look up and see what the last time Yella appeared on Wheelin Wednesday. I don't know. Maybe somebody remembers, but I don't. Oh. Come on. Don't get hooked. Don't get hooked under. I don't know what. There it is. There, come on. Oh, we're under. I'm gonna have to try to go wider this. No. I can see it. This is the hazards of that angled skid. Angled skid is great, except for those select moments when it isn't. Yeah, there we go. That's a tough one. Toothless was hoping to pull that line, and he did successfully, but he can't replicate it. So let's see. Yella has a forward weight bias along what you would typically expect. And that's not brought about by adding a particularly huge amount of front weight. It's brought about by the fact that there's nothing at the back. Nothing. These are J-Concepts ruptures on the inserts that they come with. And because Yella is a bit of a lighter boy, he can really get away with single stage, which is maximum forward drive. Can we duplicate and replicate? This is like a speed run. You gotta do it. You gotta do it twice to prove you can actually do. it. Yeah, I thought that was way too steep out right there. There it is. All right. So, I mean, I think that's how it's going to work from here forward, despite the fact that we have stickers on the wheel. If you can come and really tear up a line, then that is your line. He is a tricky descender with that no rear weight. This is another tough one here. This might, if he can pull this side, this is Yella's corner. It's when we get to right about here, and then still not cleared it out yet. There it is. He's a Yella up in here doing work. Oh, I was just gonna just drop off of that. Let's be a little more elegante, perhaps. Don't, you know. You can. Nah. This is axle snapper stuff. This is axle snapper stuff right here. I think we've got the knuckle. When the steering went to return, it just fish hooked me under the bridge. This is certainly, this gentleman over here, just in the left of frame, is the most dangerous bridge we've got here by a lot. It is the bridge that has the greatest potential to break stuff. I think I figured this particular line out. It's that once he got past that midsection, That's the section rigs seem to have a problem with, and effortless. Yeah, we need a little sign right about there, Yella's corner, because that double-sided assault. Let's see if I can at least get onto the bridge. I dig it, swing it. Okay, a little further out. Hey, just trying to oh, come. Yep, I had it, and then it stopped looking cool. All right, cut down here. We're gonna see if Yella can't just own all the lines here. Is it in between the wheelbase section here? Man. Yella looking a champ right about now. I think I just needed to shake off some rust. Everybody's a little different. See if we can pull these ledges. Need to get a little more side attitude. Again, that skid is an advantage right up until it isn't. Do we have enough to keep that tire down? Sort of. I know where the easier spot is here, but I didn't want to go easier spot. I also, much as I love fire, there we go. I did not have the motivation in me to come and torch out the spider webs this morning, so we're gonna hit it webby. Yeah, in the right application, in the right situation, there's, again, I am finding every possible spot to hang that skid up. And I guess it makes sense with how the place works, but I feel like every day at the post office is trash day. And you should have been... Dig. You should have been able to hear a little earlier that some house local to here has now got what I would just classify as hounds. They've got a bunch of hounds that when one starts barking, oh baby, they all start barking. And by contrast, you can see a little bit of the chain link fence over there. So you can hear the trash truck mashing about. In between the trash truck and us is the rental property here, the renters. They've got a dog. I don't think I've ever heard it bark once. It's my favorite kind of dog. Oh, I don't know what I was hoping for there. Yeah, that skid. It helps more than it hurts. There it is. Okay. I'm trying to get, can we pull up here, right here? There's a line on the other side I want to try. I should have just gone to that. Yeah, so there's so much grip in that tire. There's a lot. A lot. One of my tripod legs is extended further than the other, so the tripod is at a zesty angle, very zesty early morning angle. Well, that wasn't very difficult, was it? Okay, I got 2, 3, 4, at least I think 4 more spots. Okay, we've got right here. The objective is to do a little cutback right here. Okay, that took no effort at all. Oh, he descends great in reverse. You would think the weight at the top would make that a little more difficult, but it does not. On here, through the Bermuda grass, or whatever that grass is. Take this notchy edge out here. Yeah, too easy. It's the really chopped stuff. That's the only spot he really starts to have issues. Yeah, sometimes you gotta descend with a little bit of spice. Let's see what we can pull over here. Yeah, of the rigs, there was no intention. It had not occurred to me. I wasn't setting out going, oh, we really need to put some different shocks on Yella. That wasn't a consider. And I changed his wheels, and when I changed the wheels, it wasn't a notion of, oh wow, we really got to change those wheels. They were just, you know, I peruse Amazon fairly routinely, 1.9 beadlock wheels, and I just go through to see what the prices are doing, up, down, up, down, up, down. Like, I've definitely mentioned in the past how many sets of the Injora Method 105s I have, and that's because I want to say Gool RC, Gool RC, was primary at that time. Some of those sets of 105s were like $22 a set, so I was just buying them up. Because if you're addicted to buying tires, or testing tires, or owning tires, or using tires, or whatever your tire addiction is, you're gonna, unless you really love swapping beadlocks, and I still have to swap beadlocks all the time, you're gonna need quite a lot of wheels. And in many cases, particularly in those of junk views, the wheels cost significantly more than the tires. I have worn out, and I know it sounds weird, I have worn out more beadlocks than I have tires, because wearing a tire down takes a long time, presumably, unless you're doing like really long distance trailing where you're actually covering like physical miles. Out here, a tire can look really great for a really long time, but if you take a set of beadlocks that cost $22 and disassemble and reassemble that set of wheels like 50, 60 times, unless you're doing them by hand, and I don't have the mental fortitude to do that, so they are assembled with power equipment, you will eventually start to wear out the back ring where the two parts clamp together, because yes, they are reusable, but I don't think that when they were made or when they were sold for a price that low, I don't think anyone ever had the intention of you putting a wheel together and taking it apart 50 plus times, because the screw holes will start to strip out. Everything starts to strip out over time. So eventually then what happens is, once I see, so now we've gotten smarter. We've gotten a little smarter. I'm not going to say that we're what is it, the MacArthur Genius Award. We're not in line for any Genius Awards, but we have figured out how to stop having to disassemble wheels to save their beadlock rings and SLWs and stuff. We have stopped throwing as much stuff away. And we do this with one simple trick, which is when I start to notice the inside of that ring. Oh, look at the drag. Look at the drag. This is indicative of the Black Widow, a spider whose scientific name I wish I could just rattle off. And you know how a good story wraps back around, like you make, they call them callbacks. You make that callback to something that happened earlier. Latrodectus mactans. That's not very fun, is it? I'm not going to remember this. Latrodectus mactans is the scientific name of the arachnid of the spider, colloquially known as the Black Widow. Now my phone is back in my pocket. I've got a magnetic lens cap in one pocket, and for those of you who know photography or are into photography, how great are magnetic lens caps? Come on with me, people. So I'm using my phone for, non-phone things. I don't use my phone as a phone. I can't remember the last time I answered a phone call. But I also don't think that past today I will remember Latrodectus mactans. I'll remember mactans, because that's crazy. Latrodectus. Black Widow is a much better name. Previously, this little spot right here, right there. Only Zoidberg had pulled that. So we've got another one. And Zoidberg and Yella now have identical wheels. That was another motivation for buying those wheels, because Yella jokingly says he wants to be Zoidberg when he grows up, just not with four-wheel steer. I know there are folks that don't like four-wheel steer, and I don't want to say, okay, I don't want to say that I don't like four-wheel steer. I think it's cool. I think you need a long wheelbase to really use it. The longer your wheelbase is, the better your four-wheel steer performance is going to be. RoboKitty can use four-wheel steer to great effect, you know, mere 16-inch wheelbase. Yella here at 12.8, I think 12.8 is too short. I think you've got to be, because what's 12.8, 323? I think another half-inch longer than that, like 335, I think that's about as short as I want to run four-wheel steer, because I can't exhibit it here. Imagine the back wheels are doing this so that they're turned in towards each other. Then it's like having a variable wheelbase. Your wheelbase gets shorter when you're under four-wheel steer. So if I was in this position side hilling right here and I did four-wheel steer, not crab, and the rear axle turned in, it's going to want to tip over because the wheelbase got shorter and the contact patch is effectively moving further down the hill. So I've done it enough, I think, to kind of recognize where my weakness with regard to four-wheel steer comes from. I think four-wheel steer can be an advantage. I just think that at least in my case, speaking for myself, I feel like dig has more utility. Like I can get out of more problems with dig, and I can get into far more problems with four-wheel steer. At the same time, with the way the element axle is done and how much steer angle there is on an element axle, the dream build, which will probably never be realized because it will require some sort of 3D tomfoolery, and by 3D tomfoolery I mean 3D printed parts, I would love a 6x on element axles with either four or with either, I was going to say 4 axles, with either 4 tires steerable or all 6 tires steerable, like a proper 6x6, because you can just do servo on axle on all 3 axles. The only other option is I've seen a couple examples on YouTube where a guy's got a 6x and he just uses basically 2 transfer cases, 1-to-1 transfer cases, and has the input from the gearbox go to one transfer case, and then the one output of that transfer case goes to the intermediate axle, and then that transfer case feeds another transfer case to feed the rear axle. That's not out of the question, the multiple transfer case to drive multiple axles things. Whoop. There we go. Also, if there was a weird cut right there, again, we're still, I do love to date a video, we're still very early into the new camera adoption. I'm learning all sorts of things about image stabilization. I didn't opt to do it in this video, though Wheelin Wednesday would have been the perfect opportunity to test whether or not I really, we're tripod mounted. I can tap the side here. I'm kind of curious actually, like how jiggly does this make it? I'm running what Canon calls DIS, Digital Image Stabilization Plus. And what I've learned is that when DIS is running, it basically just crops the frame. So it's changing your focal length. There's some trickery going on in the background. I'm still shooting with automatic exposure values outside because I wouldn't know how to compensate for stuff like this. That's, to my eye, that's much brighter right here. So the camera is doing a lot better work right now. I've also found, I don't know if this is a limitation of the system, the software, the camera, what have you, but maximum recording time for a single file is 29 minutes and 59 seconds. So a few moments ago, about a minute and a half ago, it just stopped. It just goes, recording has stopped. And ordinarily that's not an issue because most people aren't throwing down 30-minute clips. But when I do stuff like Wheelin Wednesday, it is far easier for me to edit when I don't have to compile. I can just apply all of my post-production stuff to one big file, chop it up, remove the transitions. So, I mean, let's take you deeper inside. So ordinarily, I'll do something like this. We'll give you a little behind the scenes. So I'm driving up right here, and then I go, well, we're pulled out a little too far. I don't just want to do a sludgy zoom, so I'll say, yada yada, Mactans, and then I will roll a little bit. I'll remember my spot. I'll roll back a little bit like this, and then instead of stop and file, we grab the neck. I will just walk this over here. I'll get my next setup spot. Get right here. We'll pull focus. Get right about there. And then I'll roll about. I'll start to roll. And then I'll just go right back into talking what I was talking about before. And that is how you make a dime store transition. Sometimes I think they look really good, and it gives me a little bubbly feeling inside because I go, oh, that just seamlessly went boom to boom, spot to spot. That's the stuff I look at, and now it's a little bit of the chicken game. I am hoping for a couple of you that you will be looking at those transitions, and maybe it will give you a bubbly feeling when you go, oh man, that transition was pretty sweet. Like, I barely even noticed that coming. It just looked like they switched to another camera, because that's the goal, really. Like, to be moving and then suddenly be at another angle. So it's maintaining volume, position, all this stuff. These are the things I think about as we prepare to enter the Midwest goodbye. As you can hear them coming, the trash has been picked up. The Wednesday has been wheeled. Actually, it sounds like he's way over there now. I thought we were going to get an appearance of the floaty man, the twirly bird. Yeah, he's too distant. It would really fill out a Wheelin' Wednesday. You know, we'd get a little Kevin in the background. Ever since, and tell me if y'all have noticed, the regulars here, the people who have been here once or twice before, the absence of Kevin's Mustang is noticeable on the daily. If there's a thing in my life that I miss less, I genuinely can't think of it. That Mustang getting traded in for an F-150 was like getting your dream. It was the Red Ryder BB gun. It was getting your dream Christmas present as a kid. I'm kind of floating on the high of that now thinking about the fact that Mustang is gone. So I will take that opportunity as that helicopter burbles off in the distance. And what a pretty little angle right there. We could do a little better. So I'd like to thank you all so very much for watching, for dropping by the canyon here on a Wednesday. You are one of the noble few. I do invite you to come back and see whatever shenanigans we might have coming up next. I'm not even going to make any speculations because I don't know. I don't know what order they're going to come out in. I invite you to comment below. I invite you to offer an absolutely free of charge. They cost you no more than a click or a tap of your finger, a like and a subscribe. I don't know. It does something. I don't know. It does something. Consider a channel membership. It allows us to build things. And I will pose this question here in the final 30 seconds. At some point during this video, it's right here, it's under the magnetic lens cover, I took this battery out and I put a different battery in there. Did I hold it out long enough? Probably not. 22, 3S1P. When did I put 4S in there? Could you tell? Could anybody tell? I couldn't tell. Drives exactly the same. Exactly the same. Servo torque goes up like this much. Pinching our head. It goes up about that much. Other than that, pretty much exactly the same. So, there's a question for you. A little hidden question in the last 10 seconds. Thanks for watching, everybody. In between now and when we meet again, I'm going to start over here. Oh, it's not Kevin, but it's like a Kevin. Please, one and all, do your very best. Have a good one, everybody. thanks for coming by the canyon. Thanks for joining us for another installment of, I don't even know, this might just be in mono and it might not sound any different. I'll find out when I'm editing on the headphones, and you'll know if you've got like surround sound. We'll know. Maybe it's mono, maybe it's not. In between now and when we meet again, please one and all do your very best to have a good one, everybody. Thanks for stopping by for another installment of Wheelin Wednesday. I'll see you again very soon. And ordinarily we'd drive out of frame, but today we're gonna just fade to color because we're going full circle and you're already looking at the thumbnail.